Welcome back into another episode of All About Profit, episode 7, where me and Austin talk all about different ways to make money, our businesses, other people's businesses. Today we have our good friend Caleb on, who, if you guys watched my recent MPtv Cribs tour, that is where you guys have seen him. We toured his warehouse. Today we're going to take an even deeper dive into his business, where he actually thrifts full-time for a living. So let's dive right in. Caleb, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know some people might know you, but let's just hear a quick intro on yourself.
Yeah, my name's Caleb. I go by Caleb Sells on the socials. I started reselling 2021, and within 8 months, I went full time, quit my other jobs to really go all in on reselling. Since then, my wife and I had our first child, bought a house. So things have really, escalated quickly to be able to afford that lifestyle of having a baby and buying a house. But blessed to be doing it full time on my own, self-employed, and yeah, enjoying the journey.
What did you do before you started reselling? Like, what were your full-time gigs?
Oh, I did many different things, as a lot of us young folks do.
Yeah.
Most of my time was in finance. I did personal banking, mortgage lending. Then I stopped that, went to school for IT, finished my degree, and didn't want to use it. So I used it a little bit while I was getting my degree, and then was trying to figure out. At that point, I was just trying to finish something because I had gone to way too much school to not finish something. Even though I kind of knew that wasn't really a career path that I was super stoked about. Um, yeah, and then so my actual most recent job before reselling was I was a personal stylist for the company Stitch Fix. So I would pick out clothes for people. They would submit a profile, and then I would send them items, and they would try them on and tell me if I was good at guessing their taste or not.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
super.
interesting.
I could see
So,
Austin do it, getting into that line of work.
no, I do smell tests for shoes. So whenever we went to, we actually toured your warehouse. I was with Adam whenever he did the warehouse tour video for the MPtv Cribs. Something that marinated on me like the entire way home was like, dang, Caleb, I mean, new house, nice house. He's married, just had a kid, and he was able to take that leap and start reselling full time. That's a lot of pressure. So can you talk about like what you felt whenever you did take that leap and what it took to make the leap?
Yeah, that's a good question. I Everybody's journey is different. That's the thing I'll start with first, especially going full time reselling, because it is just different for everybody. Everybody has their own business within reselling, so that also can change so many things. Um, I will say when I went full time, I don't think it would have changed our decision, my wife and I's decision at all. But we did not know we were having a child, although
Gotcha.
we were already having a child at that point, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we were pregnant. We didn't even know we were pregnant
Mhm.
when I did that. But I still think we for sure would have done the same thing. But it definitely did add like one more layer of pressure on top of that. Like, okay, it's like even more serious. Um,
Mhm.
I think the most important thing was that I kept like, not even like for bookkeeping purposes, although I did keep track for bookkeeping purposes, but I was more like I wanted to show that this is actually a proven concept before quitting jobs or using our own personal finances to fund reselling. Backtracking just a little bit, my reselling business has never taken on debt, and my initial investment was a pair of boots from my wife's closet. So it was very cheap. I never put any of my own money into it. So that was kind of nice because I didn't have like that pressure as well of, you know, business debt and having to pay people back or even pay ourselves back for, getting started. Um, but definitely like seeing every single month, okay, this is what we're putting into it and this is what we're getting out of it in just 1 month. And I saw that in 8 months from January to August go from the first month I maybe made like a few $100s, and then the second month I maybe made $1,000, and then the next month I was making like $3,000 or $4,000, and then it was like, okay, I'm making way more doing this in less time than doing the other things that I'm doing. Let's have a conversation now. This was like maybe 3 months in, of what a timeline looks like to get to full time, because at that point I was loving it and I could really see myself doing that as a full time job. So it was like, once I had the data of this is possible, then it was like, how do we make it a reality? So then month like maybe 3, 4 to month 8, it was, okay, let's practice. If this were my full time job, could we make it? And once we did that 4 months in a row, then we were like really on the fence. And then the tipping point was kind of funny. They were changing some of the structure at my job, at the personal stylist job, and it would have just been like slightly less convenient. Not even like a horrible change, but it was slightly less convenient. And that was like the tipping point of, okay, like,
enough of a push.
yeah. And it was like, it's funny looking back at it because it was like such a slight little change. But at the time, like my wife and I were like, oh yeah, there's no way, like you should just quit and just do it, you know, because it seemed like, but it was like something super minor. But if you left because of that reason, they were giving you $1,000 like basically severance bonus. And I was like, you know what, like $1,000 is very little in the grand scheme of life. But if I'm gonna make the decision anyway, why not take $1,000 on my way out?
Right.
So that kind of forced the issue just enough for us to pull the trigger, and haven't looked back since.
Something that really like stuck out to me there when you were just talking about that is how you said that you wanted to do full time because you really enjoyed reselling and you loved it. And I think this is a big thing that a lot of people struggle with. They see all the money that a lot of us make. They don't see all the work that goes behind it, or that we actually like really enjoy this. Like it's not a job to us. It's like it's almost like a hustle, but you're doing a full-time side hustle is what it feels like, because every single day is fun. And if you're not getting that enjoyment out of it and you're trying to just scale to full time for the money, then you're never going to make it. Like, not, this game isn't cut out for everyone to be able to do it full time. And that's perfectly fine. Some people can do it for the money and do it on the side, but don't try to just scale to full time for the money. Like, you actually have to enjoy it, like both of us do.
For sure.
So you said that, go ahead.
I was going to say also, guys, this is a live podcast, so feel free to comment anything down below. We'll answer questions when we get to them.
Yeah, drop those questions. I was going to ask too, you kind of said how, you got started full time, and it sounds like you scaled this into a full-time gig. What was the side hustle like? I mean, like what kind of numbers were you doing on the side whenever it wasn't your full-time gig?
I think that I was selling about 9,000 gross a month as a side hustle. And then
side hustle.
Yeah, and of course that's gross. And when it is a side hustle, and like I'm really, it's kind of hard to even look at what the profit on that was, because when you're doing so many things, it like blends and merges, so messy to know really, like, looking back now, it's so much clear cut for me to see like what's profit and what's gross and things like that. Right. But yeah, so I would say like maybe 40% on average of that. And I started off mostly thrifting and garage sales, so that kept those margins 40 to 50%. So that was a safer model when I was just starting, because with only $8,000 in sales, it would be easy doing retail or online arbitrage to be spending 5,000 of that just on cost of goods, and to keep your inventory flowing, it could be really expensive. So at that point, I was still super cheap. I'm still a cheap person. I think that helps in reselling, to be cheap, be frugal, be thrifty.
I'm very cheap.
Yeah, it just helps, honestly, in a lot of things. For me personally, I just like enjoy, a good deal and being cheap and saving. But
for sure,
does that kind of answer the question? I kind of forget the original question.
Absolutely. And like in the bookkeeping point that you made, it's super true to me too. I feel like whenever you have another source of income, it's really hard to stay strict on your books and keep track of everything the way that you should. I was like that for a long time about shoes. Like people would ask me how much money I'm making selling shoes, and I didn't have a straightforward answer because I didn't know my exact margins. Like obviously I knew that I was selling them for more than what I was paying for them because I knew what retail was on shoes. But I feel like here recently I've definitely kept better track of my books, whether it be eBay stuff or shoe stuff. And it definitely helps. It makes you feel better at the end of the day too, whenever you're tracking your profit.
That's a big problem we struggle with, and why a lot of items tank too. Like people aren't
Mhm.
even calculating their profits. They're just, oh, I
They
bought
don't
it for
remember it.
15, I sold it for 28. I made this much. No, after
Mhm.
fees, shipping, your tax on your cost of goods, you probably lost money on that and didn't even know it. So like that's
Yeah.
huge. When you're starting out, if you're doing under like 10 items a day, just keep it a simple Excel spreadsheet. It's that easy. And you'll hold yourself accountable, and you'll help yourself in the long run.
Yeah.
That's
And
what I'm
just
doing.
like to circle back really quick to going full time, I would really encourage people to have like personal funds and business funds
Mhm.
stacked. Not, you don't got to stack it to the ceiling, but you got to have some room for error when you're making that jump.
Mhm.
We were fortunate to be able to live off of our other jobs. So, when I was doing 8,000 in a month, that was, say I was making 4,000 profit, that was going right back into my business for 5, 6 months. And even though that's not a super long time, when you're talking thousands into a business in a month, repetitively without taking out a dime, that's really the secret to how it escalated so quickly. And so if anybody is looking at, making that jump, I would just say separate business and personal, have emergency fund for personal, but also have emergency fund for business,
Mhm.
and then calculate after you have that, because you don't want to miss out on a once in a lifetime deal for your business if you don't have business funds available, and you don't want to put yourself in a bad situation if your car breaks down, different things like that. So just some general, not a financial advisor, but that's good financial advice, so I can stand by that. Protect yourself and have an emergency fund.
No, that's
Right.
great. And you want to use your full-time job like you did to fund your scale, putting all that money back into the business. Like once you quit that job, you don't have that consistent income coming in. So who knows what's going to happen? You need to put that money back into the business as best as you can.
Yeah.
Stockpile up your reselling budget, your normal budget, having emergencies, like you said. That's couldn't have said it any better myself.
Mhm.
Yeah. And there's an algorithm that I'm working on, because I think it's like, it's not an actual algorithm, but it's basically like your business income minus your business expenses minus your personal income from your business
Mhm.
still has to allow room to purchase inventory and grow your business, or you'll choke out your business.
Hmm.
And so like I'm still working on a way to concisely put that's digestible.
Mhm.
But like, just that, like, not for any reason other than to help people, because I think that's a question that a lot of people have, is like, oh, I made 4,000 profit, I can live off of 4,000. Well, if you made 4,000 profit and lived off 4,000, your reselling business is going to, like,
Stagnant.
it's
Yeah.
going to just slip away very quickly
Hmm.
because you're not, fueling that fire.
It's definitely got to be something that's sustainable and can and not only be sustainable but also grow. It's crazy too, like whenever you separate your funds and your finances, how you can watch like a business bank account escalate just because you're firing on all cylinders and you're doing the right thing. So I stand by that 100%. I've got all my money separate for different things, and
Hmm.
you can tell the difference because I've done it before. I've had, my personal banking tied in with eBay and shoes and whatnot, and it's a lot harder to track. And you're like, am I even making money right now?
Yeah.
Or you get a jump and you don't know where to credit it from. So you also said a lot of the items that you're sourcing, it's kind of in the title here, we're thrifting, but you said that you're on lower priced items. what kind of stores are you going into to find your inventory? What price points?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I did a lot of experimenting even once I went full time because I wanted to not get by reselling. I wanted to excel financially for my family, and potentially generations of family through reselling. And so I think that finding what works for you, what you can enjoy, what like all those things work together to can you really be successful instead of just getting by. I wanted to thrive, not survive. And so I definitely spent my first like entire year of full time experimenting with a lot of business models. And where I've landed this year, and I mentioned this in the Cribs tour, but because we just bought a house, we just spent a bunch of money and our expenses increase and all these things. So I chose to pick a cheaper model, which is right now thrifting. I could also throw in like, garage sales and other really cheap inventory, but I would say 90% of my inventory right now is coming from different thrift stores. I'm uh, kind of targeting like I have a certain route that I've created that kind of ends up sourcing exactly what I'm trying to list every week. I list 15 items 7 days a week. I only work 5 days a week, so I do like 20 some listings every day, and I schedule that out over the weekend and whatnot. So that's like 100 and some items that I'm trying to source every week. So that really can you know seem like a lot individual listings. I'm not talking, when I'm buying multiple of one item. So 100 unique items every single week. Really, the only way that you can do that is at a thrift store because it's guaranteed. When you walk into a thrift store, there's thousands of items of clothing or of other things. I'm mainly doing clothing right now. And there's hard to find other places where you can go in and there's literally that much selection of one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a long answer to your short question. Right now, I'm mostly thrifting.
Here's a good. Oh, sorry, we got a good question.
Go for it.
We'll answer this one at a time. How do you determine which platform to use for items when you sell on multiple? That's a good question. So if I have single items, I will just list them on a single platform, usually where they're going for the most. So I sell on eBay, Mercari, Amazon, but I'll list them typically if it's a single item on eBay or Amazon, wherever it's going for more. And then if I have multiple items, I'm going to cross list it usually to all three, or if it's not on Amazon, just eBay and Mercari. So that's kind of what I do just to keep it easy. If you don't have a ton of stuff, you can get away with cross-listing everything using a cross-listing platform, but it still can get a little dicey and you can forget to pull things off. But that's just what works for me.
Yeah, I'm in the shoe perspective, I guess. I like to sell on GOAT, but I'm mostly targeting the platform with the lowest percentage seller fee, but also the most opportunity to get the highest dollar. StockX is generally lower than GOAT, but at the same time, selling on eBay, you can differentiate your listing with photos. And on StockX and GOAT, it's always going to be the lowest priced item is going to sell first, regardless of what your photos look like or anything. I don't even take photos on GOAT or StockX anymore. So I've kind of turned towards eBay for selling sneakers up until my recent mishap, but I had a pair of shoes that ended up stolen, which, by the way, I never mentioned this in my follow-up video, but those shoes were found, like, miraculously weeks later. They ended up at the authentication center, so I think, like, me pursuing that, the FedEx guy finally just, like, shipped them. I really do think he just took them. I don't think they were lost. They would have found them way sooner than that. So, I don't know. Yeah, definitely do your research on the shipping platforms and whatnot, too, but I mean, I'm just trying to maximize profits. Wherever I can do that, that's where I'm selling my stuff.
For me, I would say I'm taking a different approach with my current business model. I'm trying to really like accelerate my eBay store and like focus on eBay as if it's like a thing that I'm like the eBay algorithm is like I should have thought about this analogy before I am going to say this on live internet world, but
I think
I always say like eBay algorithm is like courting a woman, and the Amazon algorithm is like figuring out a complex robot.
Mm-hmm.
You can do both of those things well,
Mhm.
but eBay, you got to wine and dine it. You got to, buy her flowers. You gotta do those things with eBay. And with Amazon, you got to just figure out how it all works. And once you figure it out, you got a pretty sweet machine. So anyway, with eBay, I'm just really trying to hone my craft on eBay as a platform, because I think there's a lot of nuance that I've learned about in the last like maybe 6 months or so, and I'm trying to really like exercise that nuance. So for me personally, I am maximizing eBay to its fullest potential. That being said, I'm still selling on Amazon, and for me, those are completely different things in my business. I have very few things that are cross-listed right now, just for the sake of becoming a true expert of eBay, which I'm not, but hoping to be.
I'm with you there. I think every time I look at like stuff that Adam's selling, I'm like, okay, he can sell it for this. He's turning it this quickly because he's built this eBay store into something incredible. And like, I feel like a lot of times, even if I'm priced pretty competitively or my listings look good, I feel like there's times where my stuff's just sitting and it's not selling because I haven't done the whining and dining. Like eBay, like you said, it's high maintenance. It's also not my full-time job, so I'm not putting in the work that Adam is. I'm not listing every single day like he is. I don't have over 1,000 listings like he does. And that's really what sets your eBay store aside from everybody else's. People need to understand that. It's like you guys said, it's not all just it's not just a little hustle. It's a lot of hustle. You guys are putting in work every single day on your stores, whether you're sourcing, shipping, listing, what have you.
One thing I really want to break down, because this is something that's tough for me, is when you're running a full-time business, especially like part-time from your house. I kind of do the same thing that you do. There's still parts of my business at my house, and I have a warehouse. You have a storage unit. How do you separate work from family time?
Yeah, for me, my wife and I, we set a schedule. Of course, it's especially with a baby that can always change. But like a typical day for me is, I hang out with my daughter from 7 to 8. And then my wife takes my daughter from 8 to 9, and that's kind of my time to like get ready, or, you know, sometimes I just start work early if I don't have anything to do, but I'm just kind of like getting myself ready and prepared for the day. And then I try to work 9 to 5, and pretty much at 5, wherever I'm at, like I just find the nearest stopping point and just call it quits. So it's up to me to manage that, 8-hour stretch the best for my business. And of course, like, especially with adding in content creation and other things, like there's a lot of complexities to it, but that's like our general rule of thumb. And then same with weekends, like I'm just, trying to leave the phone away from me and just spend time with family. So it helps that I have like the garage as a workspace and I have the office as a workspace. If you go to the tour, you can see all my spaces. So my living room doesn't have anything that has to do with reselling in it. My kitchen doesn't have anything to do with reselling. All my spaces are isolated for reselling, and there's no crossover. So when I go in the house, it stays here as much as it can. It still lingers in your mind when you're self-employed, but as much as you can, just got to separate it.
Yeah. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, it was getting pretty bad when I had the whole basement, because like I just felt like I was like always at work, and it was like I got to get this out of here. So that's when I got the warehouse, and it's been so much better. Like when I'm there, I work, I get stuff done, and when I'm here, I don't have to constantly be feeling like, oh, I need to be listing something, I need to be shipping stuff because I'm at work. Like no, there's home, there's work. Caleb does a good job, it sounds like, of keeping his stuff out of his garage where he's working at his house. My stuff kind of always leaked upstairs into other stuff. So I mean, still kind of does sometimes, but he knows how it is. You constantly got stuff going in and out. Like, it's going to happen, especially in Q4. But no, I think I'm definitely doing a lot better job. There's just, even doing this full time, like there's not enough hours in the day. And I think a lot of people will tell you that. They probably think like there's so much free time that we have, but it's a grind. It's a grind to do this as a full-time job.
Yeah. I have a question for both of you guys. Maybe you can touch on it. Something that I've noticed sourcing with Adam specifically, and it could be the same for you too, Caleb. Like where I'm from, I don't have a lot of variety of stores that I can source at. They're very far and few between. I'd have to do a lot of traveling. How important do you guys think logistics is whenever you're sourcing? I know a time or two whenever I went with Adam, we've literally mapped out, or he has. I'll let him take credit for it because I didn't help. But he's mapped out like different stores, and he knows the direction that we're going to go and how many we're going to be able to hit in one day. And I feel like as far as his system goes, maybe he has a map that he goes by different days of the week or whatnot. But I know that, I mean, it can be important for logistics, but maybe just touch on that if you guys have a system for that.
Yeah, for me, I actually draw out a map. You've seen it. I have all the
Mhm.
stores that I hit on the map, so I kind of know how to get to all of them anyways, but just to
Yeah.
kind of visualize it and see like what part of Columbus I'm going to hit today. When I do, I usually only go out like 1 or 2 days online or anymore. I'm mainly doing online. But when I do, you want to make sure to be using that time wisely because, like I said, there's not enough hours in the day, and I need to make sure I can hit as many stores as possible that day. So that's kind of what I do. Caleb's probably sourcing a little more heavily with his clothing and thrift stores. So I'm guessing you have some sort of route that you take regularly.
Yeah, I have a lot of places that I really like to go, but now that I'm like needing to source, you know, I wouldn't even say it's a ton compared to other people that focus in thrifted stuff. But for me, it's still an increase from previous business models. But to do that, like I honestly can't even go to the places that I necessarily want to go. I have to go to the highest volume place and make it work.
Yeah.
And so I have one particular thrift chain near me that like they have really high prices, but they always have really good stuff. And it is an insanely huge building. And every single rack is so full you can hardly move the clothing to see what's behind it. And so for me, I've just found that like, okay, I'm gonna have to deal with them pricing vintage t-shirts at $100 that aren't even worth five.
Mhm.
I just have to deal with that because I can't go to any one other place and leave with 60 to 120 items.
Mhm.
But at this particular place, like depending on what kind of deal they're running that day, they have different random sales, and there's other ways to kind of not cheat the system, but get the best deal possible. Coupons and things like that. If I kind of work all those to my advantage and try to just scrape the cream right off the top, then I can, on a bad day, I'm sourcing 60 items just from one thrift store in one day. It takes me a couple hours. And I've had days like if the certain sale happens to be like something that affects categories that I sell, like one time, for example, I went in and they were doing 50% off all used clothing. Well, I sell used clothing. So if they want to price their stuff higher, the things that are 50%, that brings it right to the line where I need it to be. And I ended up sourcing, I think, like 150 plus. I didn't even count because it was just, I was tired because I was there for like 5 hours. But to be able to do that at one store, that's kind of like, and that goes back to the logistics. I had to try so many different places and I ran myself silly around my town
Yeah.
trying to find enough inventory. And then I despised going to that place because it's difficult to go to. It's extremely crowded with the inventory. It's extremely crowded with people because other people, I'm not the only person that goes to this place if they have tens of thousands of items. And I kind of fought it at first, and then I was like, you know what? I just have to do that because that works the best for me. And now that I've made a routine out of it, And actually recently my mom started going with me, which is just kind of fun because we just get to hang out and chat in the car. And then it's funny, she actually will go and like check out a full cart for me, and then I'll take my cart back and like go hit another round. And then when I come up to the front, the cashiers are like, "Oh, you're done for the day." Because when I come up to check out, that means I'm heading out. So it's kind of fun to build the relationships, and that kind of goes. That's like a whole other topic with thrifting and sourcing, and is building relationships with people and employees and trying to quote unquote leave the place better than you found it, make the person smile, treat them with respect. At this particular thrift store, it's not in the best of areas, so the employees don't really get treated very well. And so all of them knew me after I went there like 2 weeks in a row because I just smiled and asked them how their day was and tried to be nice and friendly. And so now I'm way off topic of what the original question was, but finding what works by trying multiple things. And I thought running myself silly was going to be the only way to do it. And then I found a different way. And so maybe going back to your original question, being creative with how to use the resources in your area, or, maybe it is loading up one whole day and hitting like an insane amount of location to make that happen, since it's not in your back door.
Yeah, because I don't think, like, looking at Columbus, for example, there's so many times I've been to Columbus and there's multiple things that I want to do there. There's no way you could source in a big city without mapping it out, because Columbus, just for an example, is so big that like there's like 25 minutes between each place, and there might be times where you want to turn around and hit something else. It's like, oh, that's 25 minutes out of the way. Is it really worth the drive? Is it worth the time and the money? But also something that you said, and I think we all can relate to this. Having a checkout person would be like game changing. How many times have we been in line, Adam, and then like only had 2 or 3 things, and we're just like,
Burlington.
Oh, yeah, dude, every time. They never have enough checkout people. If you had somebody to check out like a couple good things that you find sourcing right at the beginning of your trip, I would probably buy a lot more, because I've had like handfuls of stuff and I'm like, nah,
not worth the line.
No. No. We got a couple of questions to catch up on. Are You Serial says, I'm realizing that I have to get into used clothing to scale. That is actually a very true statement. I think Caleb can expand on this a little bit, but it's so cheap to ship because most of it's under £1. It's first class. You can get it extremely cheap, under probably like $4 a piece for most of them. If you're going to Goodwill, if you're going to the bins, if you're going to other thrift stores, it's just a great way to start. And not everyone wants to do it. I get that, because it is a grind, but it's so cheap. You don't have to spend that much money. I'm going to let Caleb kind of take it from there, but that's just, I tell everyone all the time, like starting up with used clothing in the thrift stores and everything.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to scale because, like, if we're going back to the, appeasing the eBay algorithm, the more you list, the more they're going to promote your items in theory. And where else can you get 100 items for a couple $100? Like if I'm doing an online arbitrage order where I'm trying to make like a lot of money, if I'm buying 100 units, I'm probably spending a few $1,000s. And so to really get your listing quantity up where you're making consistent sales every single day, if we use the 1% rule, that's like a rule of thumb. I think there's a lot more to it than that, but say you have one sale for every 100 listings per day. If you want to have 10 sales per day, you're talking 1,000 items. If I can get, 1,000 clothing items for a couple $1,000s, that's way more realistic than using my other example where I'd be spending tens of thousands of dollars to get 1,000 listings. And so to get to that number the quickest, you're going to have to get affordable inventory. And if you just walk into a thrift store and see how much clothing there is, that explains all you need to know as why that's the easiest category to do that in. It's so readily available. You could post a note in your, neighborhood Facebook group and say who has old clothes they were gonna, donate or sell. I'd love to go through them, and because I'm starting an online resale business, I bet you would have so much you wouldn't want to go through it. because people don't see value in it.
Yeah.
Telling friends and family what you do is the biggest thing to scaling too. Like you will get so many people bringing you stuff because they were just going to donate it anyway. So they'll give it to you for like, sell it to this and give me 50% margins. Or some of them are just like, I was just going to throw it away anyway. So here, have it.
Yep.
I have a question. Whenever it comes to thrifting stuff, how do you know, like if I have like this pair of Yeezy slides, doesn't matter what the size is. If you tell me a pair of Yeezy slides, I can tell you what this is selling for and how much I can get for it. So how hard is it to find comps with thrifted items and pricing them?
Caught Austin slipping.
He dabbed that thing. He's dabbing live and he's stuck.
Oh,
there we
It
go.
looks like he doesn't have an arm.
I honestly got lost in the question because it just looks so silly. So I think what you're asking is how to find profit in a category that seems overwhelming. Is that the question?
Okay. Well, like just if you go to a thrift store, you're gonna find a bunch of different items that aren't on shelves everywhere, right? So is it hard to find comps for those items that you do source, and then is pricing equally as difficult, or?
Yeah, so I would say that
am I lagging really bad or something?
Yeah,
we
you're
can't
lagging.
see your video. You just stuck like this.
I shouldn't have moved. That was the problem.
You're dabbing on us. So as far as finding out if things are valuable, I think that with clothing in particular, figuring out what you're typing into your eBay search to pull the correct comps is an art form. Because with clothing, there is not usually, there are examples that this is not the case, but there's not usually a style number or style code like on a pair of sneakers that pulls up exactly what you're looking for and a whole bunch of that exact thing. And also, if you search too generically, he's back. If you search too generically, then you're not going to be able to find accurate data because you're going to be getting so much information it's not narrowed down to specific enough to what you're looking for. So to answer your question, I would say perfecting the art of the eBay search is how you can determine those metrics. And I would include, for me, sell-through rate is just as or more important than what I can sell it for. Because if I can sell that item in guaranteed, it's not guaranteed, but if I can pretty much guarantee I'm going to sell that item in 3 months or so, that is going to affect my buying decision just as much or more than how much I can sell it for, within reason, of course, because you got to make money.
I don't know.
We got a lot. Sorry, we got a lot of questions to go through. Let's
catch up on some of these. Do I wash clothing? I wash clothing when it needs washed, and I do not wash clothing when it does not need washed.
Boom. Can we get a groundhog cameo? I mean, I hope not. I hope he doesn't come back. That was a long day.
I have one under my shed in the backyard. We can go on an adventure.
There we go. MPtv Cribs episode 3. I know that buying good items is always important, but what category type items are you focused on buying during the summer in quarter 4? Is that for, I mean, we can both answer that. For me, with retail and online, I'm buying a lot of winter stuff. So I've been stocking up on a lot of boots, hoodies, jackets, pants, things like that. Winter Crocs in the winter. I'm cooking summer Crocs. So like I'm going for the lined Crocs and stuff right now. So just always kind of thinking ahead. If you can get some Christmas stuff clearance this time of year, like I've gotten some Christmas Crocs. I know I say Crocs a lot, but that's a big part of my business right now. So kind of just always thinking ahead, buying things when they're at their market low and then selling them when they're at their market high.
For me, since I've switched to more of this thrifted, pre-owned, cheap cost of goods model, I'm still sourcing retail and online arbitrage. But what I'm doing is I'm not picking up the low margin, high volume plays. I'm picking up the high margin items and being really picky with what I pick up. of course, like if it's a good deal, I'm, gonna buy it. So what I said in the Cribs video is I'm only really swinging at the fastballs to try to hit home runs for my Q4 inventory as of now. And then once the summer slowdown kind of goes away and the fall starts coming in, I'm going to be going right back into buying heavily retail and online, just because once I saw the power of that machine, I don't want to leave that money on the table. So right now I am really just trying to find really high margin items with the retail and online arbitrage. And I guess like one other thing that I would add into that is last year I sold so many what I thought were summer items in Q4. So I'm not saying like buy swimming pools or anything like that, but all I will say is that everything sells better in Q4, not just winter items. Now, of course, like a winter item is going to be even better, but don't be afraid to pick up a good deal when you see a good deal, because in
end of
Q4
summer,
it all flies.
right. End of summer clearance events, picking that stuff up. If it doesn't sell in Q4, then it's probably going to sell the next year in the summer. So like whenever you find a good deal, like don't be afraid, because the next season's always going to be around the corner. Q4 is always going to be here and stuff's going to sell.
Yep.
Next, Chaos says, new pre-owned items. What does your inventory look like percentage wise? That's a good question.
So for individual listings, I would say 80% pre-owned, 20% new, but a lot of my new items are multi-quantity. So if you go overall item, that may skew it to, I don't know, 70-30, 65-35. Not a huge swing, but I definitely have multi-quantity in just about all of my new inventory.
Bryce asks, where do I get my Crocs, and do I get them wholesale? No, I don't get them wholesale. I just get them like online clearance events. So online arbitrage. I'm just constantly scouring websites for deals, and when I find them, I'll usually take stock on them if it's not an insane amount. If it is an insane amount, that's where I call it out in the group Bread and Butter, and that's where we take stock, and then we control the market on that. Plus, lots of other members love Crocs and sell those too, so there's constantly Crocs leads going on in there all the time.
Kind of off of Chaos's question, do you guys think that eBay is more of a platform to sell new or used, one or the other?
My answer to that would be, I think that you can sell a ton of both on there. I don't think it really leans more towards one or the other. For me personally, kind of going back to, it seems like this is the thing that is going to be the topic of today's video, but when it comes to massaging that algorithm, I would say with the used items, that does give you an advantage, because you can do more listings, you can do more things, have higher margins to play the eBay games with the markdowns and sales and coupons and all those different things that are just going to help you in the algorithm. Whereas with new items, typically your margins aren't as wide, so you can't really play with a lot of those toys. And then also, doing a high amount of listings with only new inventory is just going to be quite expensive.
Do you think I could sell the shirt off my back?
Depends.
That's the question.
Once it's off your back, probably.
I've always said I thought you could sell used underwear in Q4. That's how I explain Q4 to people.
That might be one of the things that Caleb tends to wash.
I don't think Caleb sources used underwear.
Yeah, you know what is so interesting is that I actually found some new underwear at the thrift store the other day, and it was Duluth, which is an amazing underwear company, and it was half off of $2.50 for the pack. So I paid $1.50 for new underwear at the thrift store, and then I sold it for $40 plus shipping. So
yeah, Duluth is expensive.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
I want to know who's donating the used underwear to those places. That's the real problem right there.
Yeah, that's quite.
You know what your biggest dub is thrifting?
Oh, I have like some really good overall like used bulk purchases that are like really cool. But I would say like there's two thrifting items that really stick out to me. One is I found a vintage t-shirt for, I think it was half off of $2.99. When I saw it, I thought it was fake because I had not been looking for that certain t-shirt necessarily, but it was a certain tag of a vintage t-shirt. It was a liquid blue tag. If anybody's into vintage, you would know what that is. And it had this crazy like red dragon flaming graphic print on it. And I just knew that from that era, those shirts have been reprinted and faked a lot. And I just started going through all my basic checks of, is this real? And it was, and it sold in one day for, at that time, vintage was crazy, for $350.
Dang.
So that was a nice random old t-shirt. I paid $1.50 and sold it for $3.50. And then another really good flip I was thinking about earlier today, because I thought somebody might ask. I was at a thrift store. I saw this like bag of scuba gear. I obviously know nothing about scuba gear, but it caught my eye because back then I was selling a lot more just kind of random stuff. And I looked up like one little tiny piece that was in the bag because it had a model number. It was the first thing that had a model number. I looked it up, and untested 4 parts, it sold for, I think, $75. And it was like one little tiny piece, and there was like a whole bag of this stuff. And I paid $15 for the bag. And then I think at the end of the day, I sold all the individual pieces, and I didn't test any of them. I just sold them all as untested, as is, for parts. And the whole thing ended up being, a few $100s, $300+ all the pieces combined.
That's awesome.
Delco asks, do you enjoy selling used more than new, or vice versa?
For me, I really see the pros and cons to both. I think like in this current season, because I'm just kind of grinding out the used clothing, I'm just telling myself that it's my favorite thing. I do like enjoy clothing. I was a personal stylist. Not that means anything other than I had enough interest in it to even apply for that job. And I just think that like clothing brands and why things are considered valuable and why they're not considered valuable, I just find that really interesting, and kind of researching those topics and learning brands and learning things about certain brands that might make a not expensive brand worth a lot of money. And so that's what I'm kind of enjoying right now. But there is not many feelings better than buying something like brand new from Walmart and then turning around and selling it for triple the price in Q4 without doing a single thing other than just going on Amazon and saying that you have the item. So that's really fun too.
No, yeah, I don't want to answer that because I don't really sell used stuff, so you guys know. But definitely, like, we've harped on this. Like, I tell people all the time, it's like so glorified. Everyone wants to start in retail and online, and I try to steer people away from that. That is not the way to start. The way Caleb runs his business is the way to start. And guys, he's going at this full time. He easily has the capital. He could dive into online and retail more and more if he wants to. He still does it a little bit, especially in Q4. But there's no reason to, when he can grind out and do 6 figures selling used clothing with way higher margins. Like, some people are cut out to do that full time. So there's nothing wrong with it. And I applaud him because he's killing it.
For sure. So, lower cost items, higher margins, obviously. Title of the video is 6-figure thrifter. So what's your typical annual gross? I know you're kind of early into it, but annual gross, and what's your projection for this year?
I touched on this a little bit in the Cribs video, but last year I grossed $280,000 in sales, which I blew my own expectations out of the water, to be honest with you. I really did not expect that. I just put my head down and just was like, I'm going to hit this year as hard as I can, and hopefully it doesn't hit back as hard as I'm going to hit it. So, but I had a really good Q4, and when I was having, this quote unquote success, in Q4, I was thinking, you know what, if I can live comfortably throughout the year and then turn this on for Q4, I don't have to be on the grind. Like, I'm grinding in my own way right now, but I'm working 9 to 5 with weekends off. I mean, I'm not doing the 60 hours a week I was doing when I was trying to scale this thing. I'm just putting my time in this time of year and clocking out and spending the time with my family. And at the end of the year, we're going to crank that baby back up. So last year I did 280,000 in gross sales, between 30 and 40% profit on that. And this year, honestly, I'm ahead of where I was last year at this time, even with this lower average cost model. And so I'm kind of expecting to land somewhere in that ballpark, 250 to 3, but with higher margins. So I really can't complain with making more money on that, same amount of gross profit.
Less items you're shipping out, making more money. I mean, working smarter, not harder. That's what we're all trying to do.
Yeah, it actually is right now shipping more items.
More lower cost items.
Yeah, more items.
Higher margins though.
But with clothing, the shipping doesn't like take the toll that it random stuff takes in Q4. Like right now I'm shipping actually more items than I was in Q4, other than the 2 big weekends in Q4. I'm shipping more regularly, but when 90% of it is clothing items, like those take me 10, 15 seconds
to throw in the poly mailer.
To throw in a poly mailer, slap the label on it, and throw it in an IKEA bag.
Soon to be a profit pouch, right?
Soon to be. You just tell me when. I got my trigger finger ready to buy.
No, you're not gonna have to buy. I've got you.
Let's go.
I'm gonna be good advertising because I'm carrying them out of the thrift store 3-4 at a time. So you gotta get me on that.
Where should we send money so Austin can upgrade his dial-up connection?
First row. Man, this is live from Burger King. Sorry guys. All right. I thought I lost you guys for a minute, to be honest. I thought I was totally out. I was gonna disconnect and try and get back in, but am I clear now at least?
Yeah, you just delayed 6 seconds.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it clear, but you're here.
That's so sad.
I'm glad you're here.
Sorry.
Your guy is moving. He's not dabbing for 3 minutes straight.
It's like you're playing your own character in a video game right now.
Dang. Sorry, everybody. Apologize. We'll work on it.
We'll dial it up a little harder next week.
Yeah. I'll make sure.
Do we want to do this draft? I forgot to tease it at the beginning.
Oh, let's run it.
Oh, let's do it.
If I'm not lagging too bad, let's go.
Okay. You want me to intro some of this?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So internet trend, drafting certain things that don't normally be drafted, kind of like a sporting teams draft. We're gonna make up our own draft with reselling related topics. So we're each gonna go around and we're gonna draft our team of 3 in these categories. Hopefully we can come up with 9 items from these categories. So our first draft is going to be selling platforms. So I need Adam and Austin to each pick a number between 1 through 10 so we can determine the order of our draft.
All right.
1.
Oh, 3. Sorry.
Wow.
All right, Austin's
right. You just hit me with the prices right. You should have said 2.
Yeah.
Austin is gonna be first.
Say 1?
I thought we were saying them at the same time. I was trying to
I did too.
Time it up with your guy, but your guys just you're like.
All right, Austin's gonna be first. Adam's gonna be second. I'm gonna be third, and I'm gonna write this down. We can maybe Adam, you have the most Instagram followers. We can throw up our teams on a poll later, and we can see who wins this draft. How about that? Okay.
There we go.
So with the first, Austin's on the clock with the first pick in the reselling platforms draft. Oh yeah,
Nice.
Austin selects.
I want to lean one way, but I'm gonna have to go with eBay. I have
Oh
to.
man, that's a sword to the heart for me.
But there's another. There's
some
plenty of really
GMs
good
that are
options.
talking about this.
I should have
can't be a
traded up. I
hypocrite.
knew it.
I can't be a hypocrite to a platform that I don't sell on. So
I might trade back now. What do you want for your second round pick, Caleb?
I'm
Nice.
sitting pretty.
All right. I'll take Amazon. What the heck?
yeah.
Okay. Adam takes Amazon. I'm gonna go with, for my first pick, the third overall pick in the reselling platforms draft. I will be taking a sleeper, maybe one that could compete with 1 and 2 in a few years.
Ooh.
I am taking Facebook Marketplace.
Oh,
Seriously, Wes.
We have shipping. We have local.
True. Local's nice. No fees.
lots of users.
Pickup
Lots of
sweet. That's how I
users.
sold all my pools.
More
Tons of-
users than eBay.
You guys aren't ready for my second round pick. I got a steal coming if Austin doesn't take it.
Well, I'm probably not going to take it. Although there are some good platforms, I've got to go in my area of specialty, and I'm going to say GoDapp. GoDapp's been really nice to me. I sold a lot of shoes on there. It's super
I had that on my
convenient.
list. I had
Yeah.
that on my list.
It's been my
With
number one
the-
favorite selling platform.
With the fifth pick in the 2023 All About Profit podcast draft, I am going to be selecting Shopify if we count that as a
Ooh.
platform.
100% counts.
I have a platform. I've got my own Shopify set up. You guys are going to see shameless plug going on right here. Going to be dropping some custom like IKEA like bags, so be looking for those hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But I think Shopify is huge. I mean, you have to have a platform, but it is big for that.
All right, with my second pick, I am going to go with a platform that, it really drops off here. It dropped off quick
Don't
after
do
the
it.
first two.
Don't do it.
I have
Don't
to.
do it.
Oh,
No, I wanted them to go undrafted.
I'm taking Poshmark. Poshmark. I'm a used clothing seller. But I want to throw out a disclaimer. I am no longer selling on Poshmark to focus primarily on eBay. But I do see that as a really good. If you're going to sell used clothing and shoes and you want more eyes on your items, and if your focus is to list more items on eBay. If your focus is to get more eyes on the items you already have, cross-list the Poshmark if you sell used clothing and used shoes. End of discussion.
Boom.
Nice.
Third round.
Third final pick. I'm gonna stay in my lane,
Bust.
and I'm gonna take StockX.
I already wrote it down. We knew it
Nice.
was coming.
I mean, you can
can't believe
sell-
I got this
You can
deal.
sell clothes on there. You can sell other items. You can sell sports cards on there too. The only thing that keeps me away from StockX is the higher starting selling fees. But depending on how you transfer your funds, you can actually stay away from some of the fees. So that's something to think about too.
You guys know where I'm going here.
Mercari.
Bonanza. And let me tell you what. No, okay.
I actually put that on my list to make that same joke.
No,
Yeah.
no, we're going Mercari. I just pulled up my Mercari. Yeah, I don't care. I'll show it.
Let's see those numbers, boy.
That's my third platform for what, like 2.5 years? 60K on a platform I just cross sell on. Like third round, you kidding me?
That's awesome. It's just picking up
That's
the
a steal.
straggler. Still
I had that
great.
way higher. With my final pick, I have some platforms ranked above this, but to stay on brand and in honor of my best thrift find of a vintage t-shirt, I'm going to go with Depop.
Depop.
Good answer. Good answer.
All right. So really quick, I think we should jump into another one because that was fun, but I'll just
Yeah,
quickly
that was
recap. Austin's got eBay. We're all eBay fans here, so that's a yeah. Goat and StockX. Adam has Amazon, Shopify, Mercari. That's tough to beat. And I have Facebook, Poshmark, and Depop, and that's rough.
We should have snaked it. Snake, you would have had more of a
got
chance.
in my way.
We should have snaked it. Oh, I could have had a shot. All right.
Let's do another. That was sick.
All right. How about shoe brands to resell?
Let's go.
Oh,
we're going into Austin's bag here.
I'll go last this time. I'll let you guys pick a number between 1 and 368.
150.
Okay.
Price is right, me.
151.
It's 75. He got you.
Oh, okay.
All right. So Caleb first, Austin second. I'm third.
Are we doing? Hold on. Before we start, are we doing mega brands, sub brands, all of it?
I would say if it counts as a brand, like when you're going to do your eBay listing, that's a brand to me.
Okay, let's run.
And you know what? You are the team that's not taking a quarterback with that needs a quarterback. You're sitting at the second pick, but you're lucky. I already have my quarterback. Okay. So
right.
I'm going to take the defensive end, which is Nike.
Okay.
Good answer.
Okay.
Good answer.
That's a great
answer. Where
answer.
he's going next.
I'm gonna sub brand that, and I feel like it's big enough to stand alone. Jordan Brand.
100%.
Obviously.
We knew he was going there.
Yeah.
Jordan Brand.
I mean,
it's always gonna stay alive. I mean, Jordan Brand is the most iconic sneaker brand of all time. It's not going anywhere.
I mean, I feel like I have to go Adidas. I've got other things I want to say. I feel like Adidas has kind of fallen a little bit, but I got to go with them. Like they're just sitting there in front of me. They're the guy that you just have to take, that you're like, oh, this could be a complete bust, but like he's too good he's looking at the numbers. He's too good. I just got to take him.
I don't hate that at all. Are we snaking this?
I'm fine to snake it now that I have number 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Go for it.
I was thinking a couple picks ahead though. Now I gotta rethink.
Clock.
I'm gonna go another Nike sub brand because I have really good luck with them. And is Crocs considering a shoe brand?
Yeah.
I have to take Crocs.
Yeah.
I was really hoping they fell to me there.
Dang, I would have taken that over Adidas. You kidding me?
I had that in my 3 slot. I wrote, I was writing down before to make sure we would have enough brands. I was for sure taking Crocs.
Shout out Yo Ready. He asked if Crocs counted.
Nice. All right.
He really boofed me on that one.
Second pick, going another sub brand. Don't know what the future of it is. We all probably just copped some. Resale value is not amazing on a lot of them now. We're going Yeezy brand. I've made a lot of money selling Yeezys, and even if the entire thing collapses, shouts to Yeezy because, man, I've made a decent amount of money selling these shoes over the years, especially since he's went from Nike to Adidas.
Not gonna lie, I think you could have picked him up undrafted at the current state, but that's all right.
Maybe.
A little bit of a reach.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't. He definitely wasn't on my draft board, but I could see why you'd want him on your team. Good player.
You can see the boxes behind me.
So I got a nice little turn here. I'm gonna go. Okay, so I'm gonna go with a classic, and then I'm gonna go with something a little bit out of your guys' realm, and I'm gonna step into my world a little bit. Okay, with my classic pick in the second round, I'm gonna take New Balance. I mean,
solid.
You really can't go wrong. So many good silhouettes, so many good colorways.
They're on the come up.
They really are.
There's some that are quick flip. A lot of them, actually.
Yep. And with my third pick, I'm going to step into my world, like I said, and I'm going to go with Cole Haan, one of my bread and butter shoes. I pick these up under $10 all the time, and they sell super quick for me, between 30 and $40, and I really can't complain about that.
Decent. Is it my turn?
Yes.
It's your turn.
No. Hold on, let me look around my inventory. No.
What would you take? What could I get for Adidas and my 3rd round pick?
Nothing. Okay. I think I'm gonna steal your last pick actually. New
I don't think you
signature
are.
basketball player. He's selling shoes. They're not making them limited enough for them to go crazy yet, but a couple pairs have. I'm taking Puma.
Nope, that wasn't my pick. Good try though.
All right.
Everyone's sleeping on my pick. Everyone's looking at all these young brands for all these young kids. You know, old people wear shoes too. Give me Skechers all day long. Lock it in. Skechers is on the come up. they got the shape up.
What are you reselling from Skechers, bro?
Dude, I sell a lot of Skechers actually.
You don't have to lie.
I was torn between Cole Haan and Skechers, to be honest. Especially on Amazon, those things fly. They have so many. They have so many under 10K rank. You can move a lot of Skechers.
Dang.
Go to Disney World and look at what's on people's feet.
All Skechers.
It's all Skechers and Hokas.
You won't be
no one took Hoka.
Yeah, that one we should have done 15, but we would have been really going deep.
Honorable.
Yeah, we could have went on that.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I want to see us really reach.
Oh, okay.
I'm back up then.
Yeah, you're up.
Yeah.
Give me Converse.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, back to me. That's tough. Hold on.
That Hoka's gonna have a great career as an undrafted free agent pickup.
Give me a 20-second clock here real quick, because I'm gonna think of something crazy. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go sub-brand again and go Jeremy Scott from Adidas. Jeremy Scott's used to have some sweet value back in the day. They've kind of fallen off, but those were super sought after for a while. We had like the wing shoes, the teddy bear shoes.
I'm doing.
I have nothing to say about that because I've never heard of that. See, I'm still a noob in the game. I'm still new to the game. Austin's an OG.
I've got my next pick ready, and no one's taking it.
All right, I got a nice little turn here, and I see 2 brands that I cannot let slip back to Adam with the last pick. I don't know what you're sleeping on over there, but it's probably not coming in contact with what I'm doing over here. I'm going to take Vans and Hoka.
Okay, I wasn't taking those. I hate Vans.
I love Vans.
No, not like
Vans are my daily drivers for like 5 years going, and every time I buy something different, I hate it and I put my Vans back on.
I'm not saying the style. I don't like the brand because they Vero and IP claim like crazy for no reason.
Makes sense. Used to you would never see those in like Marshalls or Burlingtons. Now they're all over the place. There's just not a lot of margin.
You could almost say it's like the Greg Hardy of this draft. Like if he stays on the field, it's gonna be great, but there's gonna be some off the field issues with Vans.
Way back to me.
Glock and FBA says Birkenstock. That's one right up my alley from the thrift world for sure.
Works.
You're
all
up,
right.
Austin.
I am going to take an up-and-coming brand that I think if he continues to scale his business, a lot of his
drops he's going with this.
Plenty limited enough to have some resale value, and that's Saya Collective.
I already wrote it down. I knew from the build-up.
My boy Devlin's been cooking up some crazy stuff, and some of these drops, man, I'm telling you, his price points are actually not bad at all, especially for the quality of shoes that you're getting. And his socials are popping. He has like an organically grown following, and everybody that supports his shoes, there's always somebody that comes up empty-handed because there's just a really high demand for his stuff. I could definitely see those hitting platforms here in the near future for resale value.
That's great and all, but it has nothing on another bread and butter brand, Asics. I mean, come on. People are buying Asics to run in. I sell Asics like crazy. I'm selling Asics volleyball shoes, Asics running shoes. Like, come on, 4th round, you guys let Asics slide to me too? We're gonna look at this draft too and just be like, man, did he have all 1st round picks?
I didn't realize I was drafting against 265-year-olds. Come on.
All right. My team is Nike, New Balance, Cole Haan, Vans, and Hoka. I feel like that's pretty strong.
That is
That is-
solid.
Austin, Jordan, Yeezy. I mean, that's a good 1-2 punch. You know, if we were 2 years ago, you would have slayed us.
For sure.
Jordan, Yeezy, Puma, Jeremy Scott, and Saya Collective.
I like that.
Adam, he's got
We're going to
Adidas, Crocs, Skechers, Converse, and Asics. It's so bread and butter that I can taste it. It tastes like toast in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I think your team name should be "What are those?" Honestly.
Okay.
And nobody picked On Cloud. That's a great choice. Nobody
I thought
picked
about Hey Dude.
Timberlands. Hey Dudes,
Dude.
those sleepers for sure. We did say brands to resell.
Yeah.
So I feel like Hey Dudes, like a good deal on those is pretty few and far between.
Heelys
Mhm.
probably could
Clock-
have made
Ooh,
I sell
Heelys.
used Heelys all the time, man. It's a good bolo. If you're out thrifting, you see some Heelys, make sure you spin the wheel and it still spins and you're in good shape. It's a 25 bucks right there.
We were seeing them on like brand new on shelves a while back for what, like 13 a pop, Adam? Somewhere
Yeah,
around there.
Ross.
Yeah.
Were those flipping?
Oh yeah.
Well,
Not
what were
like
they?
great. They sell for like
40?
35, 45 bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just
If
a
they
little
were
heavier.
my size, I would have kept them.
Oh,
You
for
need
sure.
that for your warehouse. You gotta get more efficient. You know,
I
you're
know.
doing too many steps. You
I
gotta
know.
scoot over there.
It's too bad they only came in Austin's size 6.
Until you wreck one time and then you can't do anything in your warehouse.
Yeah. All right. I think there's one other good one here. Places to source inventory. You guys want to do one more?
Ooh.
Hit this last
Yeah.
one?
I'm down.
Yes.
Okay.
Austin, you got to do the number thing this time.
Yep.
Well,
let's
no,
go.
Austin's first because I was first and then
Oh yeah, I never got a first round.
wait,
pick.
no.
No, I never got to go
Yeah,
first.
you
Adam's
did.
first.
See how I tried to sneak that in there?
And then I'll go second. And then Adam or Austin, you're third here.
Is
And this one, I think we should
in-store?
do three picks.
Is this in store?
This is places to source inventory.
Like anywhere?
This is places to source inventory.
Okay. Number one, I'm gonna have to go Amazon. I get tons of stuff on Amazon to flip directly to eBay with like how many items they have. I feel like I could never source the amount of items at other stores like Burlington and other places that I can on Amazon. I mean, it's just endless the amount of flash deals and things on there.
Dang.
That's a good pick. I buy at least one thing per week, multi-quantity from Amazon to resell. So I have no complaints with that as a first pick.
I have 2 accounts that I max out when I find good stuff. So
Yep.
easy.
Nice.
With my first pick, I have to stay on brand with this one. I want to go off brand because I have no competition for this pick, but I'm going to stay on brand and go to the thrift store.
There you go. Are you going to name a thrift store?
Yeah.
Like what if I wanted to call out Volunteers of America?
Yeah, because I got some thrifts in mind.
I think that
Go specific.
I think that thrift store is going to allow the draft to accelerate rather than naming thrift things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically,
you
we
just
could
get-
do a thrift store draft in the future too.
There we go.
I could definitely do that. And there are some that would go undrafted.
Still that bad, dude. This ruins it for me. I was having so much fun, and then you guys got to roast me. I don't even want to pick now. I got 2 picks. You guys are in trouble. Okay. First pick, best in-store sourcing that I have for retail is definitely Burlington.
Dang.
And then
Heavy hitter.
I'm gonna go with an online one, and then I'm gonna circle back for my third pick because none of you guys are gonna take it. So I'm gonna take Fanatics online.
Okay.
Not bad.
A lot of good discounts there.
A sleeper.
I'm gonna have
Or
to
reliable.
I'm gonna have to snatch my in-store. They haven't been so hot as of lately. But I think if you can get the whole thrift store brand, I think I should be able to snatch the whole TJX brand. So give me Marshalls, TJ Maxx, Sierra, lock it in. That'll make the draft more
I
interesting.
heard you talking, and I knew that my pick was next, and I wanted to scout what you were gonna pick because I am on the clock currently.
Oh,
dang!
So we just got a little intel.
little pick out of turn.
I jumped the gun.
Once again, I am gonna stay on brand, and I respect Adam's TJX grind, and I learned the TJX grind from Adam, so I'll let him have that. Yeah, I'm gonna go to garage sales with my second pick.
Good.
Dang.
Way cheaper. You have $5, you can make some money at a garage sale. You have $5, you go to TJX, one of those stores.
Oh yeah.
You can't do anything.
Look out for the tankers too. Now I feel like I have to pick something else, but it's not gonna.
Well, you're on the turn, so you got the TJX brand, and then you're gonna get one more.
Oh, okay. Okay. One more. Let's go with another website. Let's go with Crocs.com. Dude, I have made so much money off of them, and when they run their sales, and when I get customer service codes. I know no one else is gonna pick it, but I've made a lot of money off of them, and also gotten a lot of cease and desist letters from them because of it.
That actually was on my list. So
okay.
I don't think I would have picked it here, because there's just so many options. There's so many options.
Good pick. Terrible timing.
I'm going to go with Facebook Marketplace.
Dang.
This is not something that I currently do a ton of, but when I was first starting, that is the fastest way to double your money is going on Facebook Marketplace and finding somebody that just is wanting to get rid of something, and then also looking at their items and seeing what else they have for sale, bundling those things together, going and picking up this is a little story time, so we're going to take a little tangent here since this is about thrifting for a living. This six-figure thrifter's secrets. How I got started was I sold my wife's boots on Facebook, and that was the initial investment into my business. And my second or third flip, I bought a video game lot from somebody on Facebook, and I paid $125 for a storage tote of video game stuff that was untested. I just bought it blind. I didn't know what I was doing at that point. I got everything home, and nothing was complete enough for me to even plug it in to test it. Not like if something had the cables, there wasn't a controller. If something had a controller, there wasn't the cables. It was a complete mess. And so I went on Amazon and bought like enough stuff to start testing these things. And I eventually got everything tested and listed after thinking I got completely scammed, and even messaging the guy seeing if he would give me my money back. After all of that, I ended up selling everything in that bin for $1,500, which really at that point, it was like my second week reselling. That like changed the scope of reselling for me. So I'm going to go with Facebook Marketplace because those deals are still on there. They're harder to find and it's competitive, but things like that are on there all the time. I pick up lots of golf sets and then individually piece things out to make a lot of money on Facebook, video game lots, and even just that's a way to find people that liquidate items because you'll see people selling the same types of items over and over again. And I've actually made multiple local connections that contact me when they have the types of inventory that I sell all through Facebook Marketplace. So thanks for the tangent. I appreciate the platform to speak on this topic of Facebook Marketplace as a sourcing option.
Sourcing and selling. He got it in both drafts.
Yeah.
The double-edged sword.
All right, number 3.
My final pick. I was going to go in a different direction with this because both of mine were pretty specific. but you just gave me the idea, and I can't let it pass up. And it's sneaker conventions. Best
I thought
time
that's
for-
where you were gonna go. Thought that's where you
Probably,
were gonna
honestly,
go.
probably the best selling platform too. If I could go
Very
back
on
and
brand.
change the answer.
Yeah.
But
What was the answer that you were gonna say?
I was gonna say the Nike outlet.
Super solid.
Yeah.
In my list, when I was writing them down, I was going more generic. So once we went specific, we could go forever on.
Oh, for sure.
Because there's stuff everywhere, and that's one of the wonderful things about reselling. And it's part of Adam's slogan that I won't even attempt to say which.
No, we got to end it on that. We got to end it on that.
But there really is money to be made everywhere.
Let's go find it.
Let's go.
So let's find it, man.
Let's go.
Let's go find it. But there really is money to be made everywhere. There's people dumpster dive for inventory. There's so many outlets. There's so many retail places. There's so many sites that just have clearance sales all the time. There's sites that specifically liquidate inventory. There's these liquidation places that have popped up, the bin stores, the pallet people in your town that sell pallets, the Goodwill bins. We didn't even touch on that. I don't source the Goodwill bins, but I know people that kill it at the Goodwill bins. There's just so many places to source inventory. That's crazy.
I almost took the bins, but I hate it there, so I didn't.
Same.
I mean, there's a lot of money to be made, but that
I don't even want them with thrift
disgusting.
stores. It doesn't count.
I have to go there for my flipping from zero series. I've filmed like the whole intro and everything, and I've made, I don't want to say how much I've made so far on the first things that I flipped, but I'm going to take it to the Goodwill bins and see how much money I can make. But I've been putting it off because I don't want to go there.
Oh, it's a scary place sometimes. That's for sure.
All right, boys.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for humoring me on my draft idea. I think that was pretty fun.
That was
That was really fun.
We should try
Thank you
and do
guys.
that.
We should make that into like an actual video or a short. Dress up in some suits and stuff.
That would be sick.
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. You can follow both these guys down below. I have the first 2 links in the description to their channels. Austin, you can learn a lot about sneakers and things like that, all different types of ways to resell. And Caleb, obviously, you can learn about the thrift game, his reselling full-time business. And he's pumping out more and more content every day. So definitely make sure to follow them. But for now, we appreciate everyone so much for watching this podcast. There's money to be made everywhere, guys. Hit it, Caleb.
Let's go find it.
Thank you for watching All About Sneakers.
Oh, thanks.